So, hi, this is the supplement to the main message. It's not much in itself. It's just some footnotes. I wanted to encourage you to read the part of Exodus 12 that leads up to verse 16. And I would suggest actually you even read on a bit from that. But if possible, I would suggest, verses 1 to 16. Nearly made it one of the readings that Neil did for us. Thanks, Neil. But I felt it went too much into the Passover to address our particular needs as we're approaching the day of Pentecost celebrations in the churches, and that is going to be the day when we take our first steps, and they will be, in the case of Cannington and Westfield, just first steps in meeting face to face. At least some of us doing that. Many of us will continue simply to stay at home and Zoom. It doesn't matter which you want to do. So I felt that it was important because Passover is so central to the Old Testament faith, and Jesus gives us the new Passover. We call it the Lord's Supper or Communion or Mass, it's sometimes called Eucharist, various names for it, which is based upon Passover in a number of ways and marks the same thing in a different way, the saving act of God, whereby God's people are led to a new future and brought out from an old slavery and into freedom. So it's really critical. Let me just advise that reading. The two words, sacred assembly, I think in my main message I unpacked these probably as much as I'm going to. Sacredness, the holy. But I do want to just re-emphasize a point because it terrifies me that I get misheard on this one. There is nothing more sacred on planet Earth than a meeting of a local church, provided that a local church has come together for its primary reason for sacred assembly, and that is to worship God, right? It's not to practice a ceremony or a ritual that I'm familiar with and enjoy, though there will be rituals. All groups of people have rituals. Um, and it's not to see what I can get out of it. It's not even to feed my soul. All the good things that come out of worship come out when we worship. And worship is a putting in, not a taking out. When people come out of a service, say, well, I didn't get anything out of that, and I know that feeling well. It's time for us to remember, well, you weren't there to get anything out of it. The point in the sacred assembly or the point in your personal time of worship was to give something to God. It wasn't anything to do with you getting anything. It's not to do with your personal spirituality getting stronger, though it will. It's not to do with you finding your moral compass, though it'll help you do that. It's not to do with you finding personal healing and refreshment and confidence and strength, though it'll do that for you too. It's not about you being inspired to live for Jesus in the next few days. It will do that for you too, but only if you do the thing which worship is, which is not to arrive for what you can get from it, but only for what you can put into it. And that's why assembling is worth doing, and why the pain and the costs and the disappointments and the struggles and the arguments and just the awkwardnesses sometimes of sharing with other people is so well worth it. It's not because those things are distracting, it's because those things are part of it. You live with that, you push on through that, and managing that is part of your worship, it's part of your gift to God. All of it's got to be going Godward. Leave God to do the personal refreshing, the spiritual equipping, the uplifting, the teaching, and so on. That will all happen. When we go to meet with God, go to give something to God. That's worship. Anyway, enough for now. I love that passage from Hebrews. You may want to read around it a bit, and you'll hear the echoes of the Old Testament sacred assemblies there as it speaks of Jesus as a priest and calls us to make sure we meet together. So whether from your laptop at home or your phone in the bottom of the garden, or whether it is actually opening the doors of a building and going inside to where other Christians are preparing to share the time with you. However it is done, I commend to you the glorious business of sacred assembly. That's what we're about as a church. We're nothing to do with rituals, with buildings. We'll have rituals, we'll have buildings, but they're not it. It's nothing to do with having right ceremonies, right forms of dress or music or digitalization or right this or right that. It's to do with God. Anyway, enough. I'll start preaching in a minute if I'm not careful. God bless you.